welcome to the Broyle Country Show. We're just about to commence with our steam engine arena parade. We've got many engines coming in today, although it's a little bit hot. We've got my beautiful assistant here, Adrian, who's going to give us a few words on the microphone as well.
Good afternoon, ladies. Thank you very much for turning up on this very hot afternoon. Could be out, stretched out in the deck chair and stuck seaside, but you chose to come and join us, which is very nice to see you. You could be even madder. You could be preparing and speeding up and driving one of these engines this afternoon, but we just left that to our lunatic colleagues to present these for you.
Our insane crew, I totally agree, Adrian. I've got one here myself, a steamroller, and just spent the last 10 minutes boiling my head off, trying to oil it up and getting cold up ready for my crew to bring into the arena. Hence why I'm a little tiny bit late, but I hope that doesn't matter.
I think Fred himself has been doing this long enough to know better now. Both steam engine owners ourselves, and we have chosen the easier option to eat ice cream and drink some balloons and talk about the engines to you instead of driving them around for you.
Well, I've kept myself rehydrated this afternoon with a bottle of whiskey.
Fantastic.
Not a whole lot.
Well, we're basically presenting what we generally term as being road locomotives. They're not steam trains. They work on the same principle of boiling water and producing steam to push the piston up and down. But unlike being guided on the roads, they're free to roam around on the roads and, as you can see here, on the field. Like many forms of transport, there's not just one specific type of traction engine or steamroller. Like cars, you've got sports cars, you've got family saloons, you've got space cars. They're all designed to do specific jobs and fulfill different requirements. Same can be said for traction engines or road locomotives. We've got two very different types here in front of us at the moment, for example.
We certainly have. In the far corner we've got an Aiming and Porter steamroller. So as Adrian has very rightly said, these vehicles are very, very different between each other. Having this one being an agricultural engine and the steamroller which I'm talking about now, Lionheart in the distance, was specifically designed for rolling roads. We all know that the road surfaces in this day and age aren't always as good as they could have been. So it's one of these wonderful machines that's to come down your road and vastly improve the road surface. If you look closely, you'll see these wheels have got 3-point roller systems. So the front and back rolls are steel-plated rolls. No rubber tyres, there's no trim suspension, which forms for a very hard road ride. But owing to its weight and flat surface, produce a really amazing road surface.
Aiming and Porters, usually a roller and often a green. They mostly green. The traction engine going around is what we call an agricultural engine, primarily built for the farming industry. This particular engine was purchased or ordered by the Ministry of Munitions for the war effort during the First World War. Over in Flanders or Buttons or anything like that. Basically, when you've got an army going out to defeat the army, otherwise that's the people on the home front. And so the purchased engines like this to make sure that the supply chain was maintained. This engine was forged in 1917, in 1918, and fortunately just missed the First World War. So it sold in an armed service sale in 1918. It went for a few owners and subsequently ended up back with Wallace and Stevens, the company who produced it. But it used to take on a lot of engines as part of exchange for people that buy a new engine, and they would sell their old engine second hand. And Wallace and Stevens sold this engine second hand to Broyle Street, just up the road here in Suffolk. The Barnes Brothers, the engine was put onto a train and to Penny Line, railway station, and Barnes went down there and cleaned it up and drove it back to Broyle Street. And apparently, the Barnes Brothers very capable engineers, got it up and running and made Second World War, these agricultural engines slowly fell out of use.
And of course, with an internal combustion engine, you can just get up and turn the key, and away you go. So of course, 5 to 8 in the morning you can still be in bed, and at 5 past 8 you can be running a plough. Whereas unlike a steam engine, about 4 o'clock in the morning you're up, you're busy storing up firewood, you're oiling the thing up, you're lighting a fire, you're emptying the ash pan, you're sweeping the tubes. It's quite a labour-intensive kind of job. But in saying that, some people, myself included, it becomes a way of life. So when you're doing that and you're living a living van, like the old wooden shepherd's hut that's being towed behind, a lot of the drivers liked this and they became affectionate about their steam engines, which is why steam engines, particularly steamrollers, ran right up until, well, the last one I know is the West Sussex County Council, and that was on full standby until 1984. And thanks to that, your local council had a steamroller on standby in 1984. So what you've got to think to yourself is that all your taxpayers' money in West Sussex went to a really good cause.
We want to get really technical and nerdy about it.
Really technical, Adrian. Come on, let's get really technical.
We can get really dribbling. We've got different cylinder configurations on this, but it's like car engines again. We've got different engines for different cars. We've got single cylinder engines here, and then we've got two-cylinder compound engines, which are primarily the two sorts of engines used with road steam. The single cylinders would use the steam, the engine push it up and down once, and then the steam absorbs it. The compound engine uses the steam once, and then the exhaust from the first cylinder goes into the second cylinder, and it gets electrified, so it's effectively more economical to run, but it's more moving parts, more expensive to build and more expensive to purchase. We've then got the valve system, so it's a piston valve, or you can have like a slide plate to cover up the valve port. So we've got a slide valve, piston valve. Have a look at the 4 Ailing steamrollers going down. Notice that we've got slightly different shapes. We've got single-cylinder slide valve, we've got single-cylinder piston valve, and then over at the far end from me, we've got a compound slide valve in.
And of course, Ailing and Porter being quite a prestigious company in the manufacture of steamrollers, they really cornered the market in their day. Like any modern company, they were rather specific for a bit of sales gimmick. I've got a genuine 1930s sales catalogue for my own steamroller here, Polly, which is going round, and it's wonderfully Art Deco in 1930s. And the quote on the front of it is a picture of this steamroller, and it says, "This is the most modern steamroller in the world." So what a sales gimmick for that.
Well, we were very proud of what we produced, and of course, it's not only sold these engines in this country for the local councils and the local haulage firms and such like. We exported these engines all around the world, and places like the Indian Railways purchased Ailing Porter steamrollers for rolling the roadways around their railway yards and things like that. Ailing Porters were really said that the founder of the steamroller, they sort of invented the concept of it. Their first steamroller they produced was in 1811, I think. It's about 25-30 tons of weight, straight roadways. So they quickly learned the lesson of weight. So they got down to about 15 tons, and they won't have 15 tons. It's about as much weight as they really wanted for rolling roads. So in the 1980s, Ailing were producing rollers right up until the Second World War under a different name of Ailing Barn. So nearly 100 years of manufacture of these magnificent train rolling engines.
Also, Ailing and Porter were one of the first manufacturers, along with Henry Ford, to produce a production line. So like many of the other manufacturers, which are wonderful, Charles, Morris, all the other ones, they were quite handmade, supposedly miles and pieces of work, whereas Ailing and Porter produced a production line. They had many employees, 2,500 at one time, just operating machines to produce the parts, which were then stored in their stock rooms and then used to build the engines. And in the late quarter were producing 5 steamrollers a week. 5 a week, that's making one of these engines a day. What an incredible accomplishment that is. And I always think they were very early developers of diesel engines and petrol engines, and they made a caterpillar of their day. And it wasn't for the combined engine which was government introduced agricultural engineering, public general the manufacturers, Broyle is keen to get a British industry, and sadly that brought Avery and Water market down. It wasn't for that, all of your caterpillars, all of your diggers, all of your road graders and bulldozers would have probably all still been made by Avery and Market, alright?
Well, we mentioned Wallace and Stevens earlier. They also produce road rollers. My personal engine is the Wallace and Stevens road roller, and certainly, unlike what Fred was saying, Wallace and Stevens were producing road rollers up until about 1976. But we've now got a bit of excitement in the arena, ladies and gentlemen. We now have a blue engine with red wheels. It's a very interesting canopy.
I love the canopy. I tell you what, it probably keeps the crew adequate to do their job today on a day like this. This is Charles Broyle engine in Norfolk, called Saturn, and it's one of the oldest engines on site being manufactured in 1891. I mean, 1891, really is still stuffing around. Bearing in mind, like a big broom, it's probably had quite a few components, once, twice, maybe even 3 times later than 1891. But nonetheless, we still working with one of the oldest and most original engines here. One of the features you'll notice about it has a very, very plain Victorian kind of chimney on it, which is actually, unlike all the other manufacturers, which are made out of tin, this one is made out of cast iron. And at this period of time in Bowles, they were very keen on cast iron chimneys because the weight, weighing 500 weight, would hold the front end down and stop it bouncing, which then would give you a greater turn of speed on the road.
I missed that. It's a cylinder engine chucking away in front of me. We've now got a truck of tractor just entered the arena now. This engine was originally built as a light haulage engine, 5 tonne, and they passed the law in 1905, which stated that you could drive a 5 tonne light haulage tractor with one trailer with one person operating it. And obviously the employers thought, fantastic, I don't have to pay you on the way to this run on it. And they're very capable engines, like sort of like the early form of an articulated lorry tractor unit, you know, with the trailer. This engine got the first steamroller. It was basically built as a convertible. You could operate the tractor or as a road roller. A water convertible. So about 1932, 33, I think, converted to a roller. Then these engines were exposed to roll to that side, that particular side. After the First World War, a lot of internal combustion engine lorries were coming on the street, so light haulage steam tractors were becoming less and less sort of desirable or economic modes of commercial transport. So this engine then served another 20 years as a steamroller. Of course, Jesse purchased this engine in 1965. You could quite often parsonage this steamroller going to the steam show in 1965. But of course, you can point yourself to the version of a chosen tractor. Chosen fairground trial is actually used like chosen tractors like this. What it was used for really was to tow rides around from one place to another. And set up the wheel. Also, if you look around many old fairgrounds, a lot of the artwork on the fairgrounds is always animals, and wild exotical animals like elephants and giraffes and that kind of thing. Well, now you think, well, that's nothing impressive.
embarking on one of the wonderful fairground rides, along with, like Adrian said, electric lights. I mean, electric lights for goodness sake. Whoever even heard of that? That would have been something outstanding. I see we've still got Pensioner here coming backwards. They're demonstrating all the aspects of a tracking engine. It goes forward, it goes backwards, it goes slowly, it goes extremely slowly. What a versatile piece of equipment that is. I expect you to be doing the slow race backwards. Barry Ford up there, he's one of the stalwarts of the steam engine movement. I mean, I heard stories of Barry driving steamrollers when Noah was loading animals onto the ark. I mean, goodness gracious, you've been doing it for a fair set. You can't take with his knowledge.
Well, he's obviously got gained the knowledge of how far he is in the commentary box now as well.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do, now they're all lined up, we'll give you 5 minutes to have a look at them, take photographs of them and think about them and how wonderful they are. And then if all the agents would like to give us a whistle up when they're ready, that would be fantastic. After which we're going to presume into some arena steam engine games. This may sound like a little bit of an odd thing to do with steam engines, but we're going to do a few races, some chicane races, and a slow race, and perform some wonderful stuff.
I've just taken my hearing aid out, but you've got little ones, sensitive ears, one will cover them up, I don't know.
Go on then, let's hear all those whistles. Give us a whistle. engines on your car.
The steam whistle on the German tractor is a bit of a larger affair. It was fitted in standard, but I think it's actually come with a steam tug, like a ship. And I remember exhibiting this engine up at the Chapel Dockyard one year, and we did a trundle around the dockyard, just to display it a bit like what we're doing now. And come around the corner, and there was a steam tug brought up on the Medway River in the full sea. And they were showing off with their steam tug whistle, you know, all the traction engines, runners were coming into by going, beep, steam tug crew, oh, you know, thinking, right, look at the thing like that. Of course, I've come around the corner with some plane with the steam tug whistle on there, and matched them. They were very surprised. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we're all keeping ourselves well and truly hydrated today. There's many good establishments around serving food and drinks for us all, keep us refreshed and well fed. All around the field, doctors around the beer tents and around the fun fair. We've even got the Shepherd's Hut food van out near the terrier racing area. I know it's not terrier racing all this afternoon, but it's a nice little quiet spot out back of the field there. Just want to quiet sit down and something to eat through.
I had my lunch there earlier. I had the most wonderful coronation chicken sandwich you've ever had, complete with raisins, it's great. And the sausage to the side of it was wonderful. Right, okay, steam engine owners, if you're paying attention and listening, what we're going to do, you can stay there for another couple of minutes and gather your thoughts, and then we're going to do some arena games. I think we'll start first with a slow race. Even though it's quite hot, it's a good one to start with. So anybody that would like to stay in the arena, if they make their way to the opposite side of the arena to the commentary box, and back in over there in line to race across the arena to the commentary box, that'd be wonderful. Then we can see how many of you would like to play on this extremely hot day. There's no rush, just whenever you're ready.
Well, it's great to find the concept of the slow race rather than training. I mean, all it is, you talk about racing, you talk about horse racing, Formula 1, motorbikes, rail, area racing. Slow racing, well, there's actually a little bit of a skill to it in these engines, because the main thing is the objective is to keep the motion turning on these engines. If you let it stall, you know, I mean, if we flip it, it's probably all stalled our car from one side to another. You can do that with these steam engines. When you're running them particularly slowly, that's when they're likely to stall. So if they see any of these engines and the motion stops, then they're disqualified. So the aim of it is to get from one side of the field to the other as slowly as possible, but whilst not stalling at the same time. Now, we've got lumps and bumps on this field, and yes, they are very powerful engines, but you get a little bump that you catch about, all of a sudden you have to give it a little bit more on the regulator to open up a little thing and carry over the bump. You catch you out, stall you. The other word for it is there's shifted type people crews on here. They might have a block under one of their competitors' wheels.